Good morning. Welcome to 2024. Although it has been for a whole 7 days, but it's the first stream of 2024. It's a very pink stream, of course. I've got I just literally now just rigged those up because I realised they were still here from the Christmas tree. So I'm going to neaten them up and put them somewhere like that, I think, for some cool little backdrop and ambient lighting. So yes, we've got seems nice and bright today. I like this. Nice bunch of people. Lots of rules. I've been doing lots of rules this week, but I don't have rules. I have notes for cool things to talk about. Nice to see a good bunch of you in there. Hello, Happy New Year. There's my mother in there. Happy New Year. Woo! Woo! Got my game mug on. The mug fans with a nice coffee in it. So, I've actually got back into the habit of writing notes throughout the week and going, that's a good thing to note for Sunday morning coffee. And then I ended up not being in the office on Friday, so I left it. So I had to rewrite my notes. So there's probably really cool stuff that's happened this week, and I forgot. But we will go. Why was I not in the office on Friday? I also have something for you to guess, which I teased on some of the social medias just now, which was what thing of 2023 has happened again in 2024? Could be good, could be bad, but we didn't expect it, or did we? But it's happened again. That's what you have to guess for the episode, and then I'll let you know. So, first sexy bit of news, which Andy's waiting for me to finish the stream for, which sounds very dodgy. We've got a new router. Woo! A new router. Woo! I've been very on it this week, so that's the um very nice guesses there. I'm very on it this week. I've done so much that has probably been a bit too much. I've done a lot of grown-up phone calls, which has been rubbish. But I did it. I did it. So one of them is very boring, but was sorting out my internet package. And when I went to lower, well, I went to lower because they just again it's really boring. They do the pay for X amount of time and then we'll charge you a fortune afterwards. And obviously I'd left it into the charge you a fortune, so I went let's let's fix that. And then they upsold me, so I'm still paying less than I was, but for twice the internet. So we have 1 gig, but we don't have it yet. Andy was very desperate to install it last night because we got a new router and it's all very fancy. And the actual house is in a good internet land. The office is in terrible internet land. It's so bad. It's like a time warp over there. So as I said, Andy can't say that I don't never good to him. See, I've got him double the internet there. Didn't increase his rent or anything. So there. So so as of next week, maybe you'll be like, whoa, this is super speed, or it won't make any difference. But it was an extra £6 a month, and I thought, you know what, let's do it. So yeah, after the show, we're gonna then muck about with the internet. But I knew it would be sod's law if we mucked about with the internet last night or this morning, that there'd be some horror. Oh no, Andy's here. He said I'll install it midstream for extra drama. Okay. I'm sure it'll be fine. One of my favourite Sunday morning coffee moments is when I went, I wonder what happens if I just, and then it ends. That was a good one. So yes, so a new router. That's not the secret thing. Not the secret thing. The thing you have to guess what the guess is. Are you okay with the flooding? It has been very floody. There is a lot of flooding around. But we're not underwater, so that's a bonus. So we got new what's happened. I've wrote heavy week. It's been a very heavy week, but I don't know what I've done because the notes are all at the office. But my to-do pages are just absolutely rammed where things have come up during the day and I've gone, right, I'll do that, I'll do that. So I've been on it with lots and lots of things. Again, it's really frustrating. There are lots of things I can't talk to you about because they're all secret projects, but the secret projects are all coming underway really, really well. I am juggling a lot and I am starting to think, as I've been offered another thing to collaborate with, and now I'm like, I'm currently on it, and this is cool. Let's do it. Let's go. But also on the, as soon as I have my first dip, is this all going to turn into a disaster? That is the fun and games of being Annie. Woo-hoo. So it has been exceedingly, exceedingly busy. Mm. But I did it. I did 4, well, actually, I say that I did 3 days. It feels like a whole week. I did 3 solid days because Monday was off. Um, what was I off for Monday? I think I was just sleepy. Well, there was no post. There was no post. And it was a bank holiday. I think I thought I'm just gonna take one more day because 'cause you're allowed. It's one of the last days you're allowed to take off, isn't it? So wow, so I fit everything I did this week into 3 days, which is quite impressive. So obviously all the orders are back out. Everyone's got their goodies. There were more than I thought, so thank you very much. I had a massive rush on the backdrop books, which yeah, I thought something's happened here, and yeah, I looked up and Tale of Four Gamers, I think it was, had done a shout out to them. So thank you. It's always nice when something like that happens because January is traditionally a really slow and tough, and having a big like surge. Although I have run out of backshot books, and so I need to get some more, which will be next week. Hopefully they'll be arriving some point next week. So keep ordering backdrop books. Do it. Tell everyone about them. So I'm quite excited about those because Hiccup revealed that we're working on some more, and there will be more backdrop books. So that's very good. I like working with John. So that's a nice sort of woo positive. And again, the more like pockets of people find them. So this time the 40k people have found them, and they're all like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Yes, 40k people. They've got money to spend. Yes, yes, yes." Oh no, I'm telling you too much. But that's it. It's always like when you hit that particular sort of market where everyone goes, "Yes." Um, which makes a nice change because sometimes, you can't kind of try to convince people to part with their money. So when you kind of hit a gold thing of, oh, shut up and take my money, then it's like, yes, this is good. Let's do more of this. So that's been cool. Just been lots of paperwork, lots of phone calls. One of the customer service, it wasn't the internet. One of the customer service helpline that I rang made me cry, and I'm still in a good mood. So take that. Um, it was terrible. He was so bad. And I was a beast. I'd already done too much. There was one of the days, I think I did 4 different um, customer service phone lines, which was way beyond like a week that Annie could that Annie could deal with. I'm one of those people that really struggles with that sort of uh, what's it like paperworky phone call, anything like that. Obviously, I have to do it because it's part of running a business, which has been really good because it means that I can do the things which I couldn't before. It used to be a much bigger deal, but I absolutely hate it. So I try and ration them. But I was in the like, I'm in the zone. Let's do it. Let's phone the next one. Let's phone the next one. Don't email them because they'll never get back to you, especially in January. Just phone them. But yeah, this man was so awful. I still keep thinking maybe I should report, but it's just another thing I've got to do, isn't it? So but he wasn't nasty. He was like really not degrading. He just made me feel like an absolute idiot. And I was like, this is why I'm calling the phone line because I don't know the thing. I'm phoning for the help. And then he kept sighing. And in the end, whilst I was mid talking, he said, that I think we're done now, love. I'll leave you to it. And I know I was what? What? So yeah, what a horrid man. But finished the call crying. And then I thought, yes, let's move on. And I moved on and I then did loads of other stuff that was still quite difficult for the rest of the day. Way! So that's good. That's a good sign. Definitely a good sign. So yeah, customer service of hell zones. My hair's very fluffy lately and all fluffed. Coffee good also. I've been in a bit of a glumness. Well, I woke up and I've just been kind of like, so I'm glad that's what I like about the show. I can turn up and um, the reality is probably that they know he's horrible. Won't get rid of him. They just probably have a million other people and they tick the boxes, don't they? It's just just the phone place. I know partly it's because of that it's horrible working for those places. So I'm always really nice to them, but I felt like he'd done the thing where it was like the issue is solved and they get told off. I think if they work more than that. Like they not work, they carry on talking to the person afterwards. It's like efficiency of call or something. That's why he basically hung up on me. Like, oh cool, thanks. But I survived. I survived. There was a good amount of people watching here. I reckon maybe it's because I put Warhammer in the title. Maybe there's some Warhammer lurkers that have searched and then they're like, oh, what's this pink lady talking about Warhammer? I will actually be talking about Warhammer. It's not just clickbait, but you've got to sit through the bad Squiddo things first. But I'm also not just talking about Warhammer. I'm talking about how the old world may affect bad Squiddo Games. So why was I not in work on Friday? Oh, there's some movement. Uh-oh. Why was I not in work on Friday? I was going to be in work on Friday afternoon, but in my organising of stuff, it has been, Lord knows, I'm not even going to think about it, probably 6 months or something since I broke my glasses. And the old concussion, a cheeky bit of concussion. That has not been the repeat. Don't worry, I've not got concussion again. That's not why I'm like, woohoo. But when I broke my glasses and got concussion by face planting on the floor, as one does, these glasses are the previous prescription that I've got. And I kept thinking, part of me was going, right, come on, Specsavers, you'll send one of those free eye test vouchers through. Because I thought instead of just getting the replacement of the current prescription, I need to get a new eye test anyway, because I'm really bad at getting them done. So I kept putting it off and I kept thinking, come on, Specsavers, send me that free voucher. Send me the voucher. And then after I think I bought the camera, I thought, well, I can buy a camera. I can get a £30 eye test. Come on, Annie. So in my sort, because obviously I've been having headaches because I'm wearing the wrong prescription, you fool. And I've just kind of adapted to it. And then now and again I go, I should be able to see that. Why can't I see that? And I liked my old glasses, you know, the big this is the penance you have to have before I get to the juicy Warhammer chat. But I like the big glasses, and so I finally got an eye test. Woo! So I did that first thing Friday, and I took ages because I can't find. They were the perfect frame, and I tried every single frame on in the shop pretty much, and none were as good as that last frame. To the point that I might try and seek them out somewhere. Because they were so nice and I love them. But I did get some similar ones. But for the first time ever, which I've said for my entire life and forget every single year, I got sunglasses. Woo! So I actually have prescription sunglasses. Woo! So when it does actually get bright, amazing. So again, this is quite dull. I'll start with the dull, lean into the exciting. But that's why I wasn't in. But because I hate going to town, not a Nottingham thing, just going to towns, isn't it? I try not to buy stuff online. I then, whilst I was there, Nottingham have opened a brand new library. And I'd seen it online and thought, well, if I'm in town, that's a good excuse to go and join. So I'd looked beforehand at what I need, proof of address and all that. I'm just bypassing Jessica. Was quite the spectacle. So I've never had prescription sunglasses, and I got some as close as they could to sort of Audrey Hepburn's, obviously. So I'll be well cool in the summer. So where was I at? What was I talking about? The library. So I joined the library, and I had a little look around. Well, they signed me up really quickly. I did have to choose between the cat or the galaxy on the card. And you'll be quite shooketh that I went for the galaxy. It was that sort of red blue pill moment, and I thought, no, I think what represents my reading? I was overthinking it, going, but it is a galaxy of information. It's not really a kitten of information, is it? I need a galaxy of information. And then afterwards, I thought, what have I done? I've rejected a little kitty. Um, so, so after overthinking that, that was a very difficult decision. That probably finished me off for the week. They're like, which card? I'm like, I don't know. Um, and yeah, so it's all brand new, so it's all shiny, and yes, it's amazing. So it's another sort of like, obviously not just because Nottingham's awesome, but check out your local library. And when I was at university, I lived in the library and I loved it, and I was always there. And one of the downsides to this is like it's not open late, and I kind of understand why. But I used to like going late to the library and then getting all the books out and then like photocopies and making all the notes. Um, so I kind of just had a skim around. So I wanted to see what they have. And again, because it's brand new, there's plugs everywhere. So it's really built rather than, trying to adapt to how people use libraries now. So there's plugs everywhere. So I can plug in this if I want to bring it along, charge my phone, all that sort of stuff, as well as obviously all the books. But there's some really good computer desks as well. And I like the idea of going somewhere like that um, or I can just be somewhere else that's not here or the office, to be somewhere else and to get some of my work done. And when you're in that public place, I used to do it weirdly enough in Bugman's quite a lot, and I stopped in lockdown, and then I kind of don't haven't been there as much. Um, but Bugman's used to be good for that, as in like, it'd be kind of good for half work if it didn't need to be too intense, because then I'd kind of half social as well, because I'd be working on their I know where the plugs are in Bugman's, so I'd be plugging my laptop in, and then people that I know that work there will visit and be like, Annie, like, wee, and then carry on writing my newsletter. So that was quite cool. But obviously, when you go to places like pubs or cafes, still you're kind of under that pressure of like, well, I need to buy another coffee or pint or something like that. So a library is awesome for that, and it's a bit of a cliche, but it is amazing that there aren't. Well, it's not amazing; it's terrible that there aren't many places left where you can just go and exist and have to spend you don't have to spend. There's no obligation. There's not someone there going, you haven't bought a coffee in a while, or anything like that. But they do have what looks like a very nice cafe. I didn't sample it this time, but I shall be. So yeah, and I obviously looked around to their history section, and I found a lot of books, and I found a lot of books about women in history that I didn't know about. So what I think it's going to be really good for is I do have a lot of the women in history books. I have my own sort of library here, but what it's going to be extra good for is period reading. So, for example, it's done now, but say I'm doing Joan of Arc, I can then go into the library and get a whole bunch of medieval, 100 Years War, all those sort of books out, and be able to just sort of skim through some books without having to buy them. So I think that's going to really help. And it's a bit like going to places like visiting galleries. It's just going somewhere different, and it can sort of trigger something else in your brain that goes aha. And I think especially with Community Minis project, it's going to be really I think it's going to be really useful. Again, just nice, and it seems that everyone I bumped into there all seemed really nice. I thought I'm going to try and make some sort of routine. I haven't figured out exactly what yet, but I'm going to try and fit it into my norm to go to town. It's right by the train station, which is also a tram station, and it's just really nice. And yeah, it gave me like a bit of excitement. So I went back to the house. And I was then going to go to and then I was going to go to work. Ooh, low on battery. I think you'll be all right, probably. Till I start talking old world. What is routine? Can I eat it? You can definitely eat it. I think that's how it's best consumed. um, so I went back to the house, and I live with Andy, who's in the comments there, and he was running not Age of Sigmar, a Dead Zone event, and was going to go back into town because it was at the TSN arena. So he was going to go back into town to drop some stuff off and kind of get prepared. And I think I felt sleepy because I went, there's a really comfy chairs in the library, and I sat down and I was messaging a few people going, oh no, I'm trapped in the library. I've sat on this chair, and they're like those really wide chairs that you can kind of like fully curl up on. So I'd got a bit sleepy and I was in a bit of a can't be bothered, but still, I think the week had caught up with me, all those phone calls and stuff. So I said, I know what I'll do. I've got my all day tram ticket. So, well, I'll go back into town. I'll help Andy out, bring some stuff in, see the TSN folk, and then I'll get the bus to work. Um, Obviously didn't. But I sat there, had a nice little catch up with the people there, which was lovely. Um, and then I thought, let's just call it a week. Woo! So part of the stuff I've been doing is to give myself set hours. And what I would have done was then overcompensated by going to the office and working really, really late. And I thought, nope, nope, oh, come on, I'm thinking about it. Nope, that's it. And then I thought, well, I guess I could go in on Saturday to make. No, no, that's been my week. I'm trying to stick to that. I'm still allowed to work at the weekend, but that has to be at home or somewhere. I can't just go and do a normal office. That's the rules. Um, so yeah, I wasn't in on Friday. Which, I'll do try and go in even if it's just to get the post out. So apologies if you did buy something on Friday and it hasn't been shipped. It's not a norm, but I thought, you know what, I've been out. I'm a bit like a dog where you take him out for enrichment to smell some different places. That's pretty much what I did on Friday, and I thought that did me good actually. To go out and get some sniffs, go around Nottingham smelling it. So that was good. So it's nice to get out and about. Andy, if you're near Nottingham and you like Dead Zone, then you should go to Andy's events because he has so much stuff. He made so many cakes, which I'd mostly resisted as well because I've been on the old health. So I wonder if I'm allowed one of the cornflake cakes today. He made very nice cornflake cakes, but I normally will just gorge. So I said if I'm allowed one a day, maybe I'll be allowed one today because I think there was some left. That could be a good treat. Another thing, one of the big magazines, I had to do an article. I'll let you know when it's out. I'm very excited about that because I thought, again, I was like, I do write a good article. So I wrote a very long interview with one of the top magazines about Bad Squiddo and about sort of processes of figures and how they're made and what goes into the designing and how they are and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, I think that went across very well. So that'll be coming out, and that'll be a big Bad Squiddo feature. So I'm excited about that. So that'll be out soon. So that's really cool. So that took up quite a lot of time because I was finessing. Yes, Daniel, that is correct. that is the year of 2024. So I'm a bit. What else we got? So article, yes. Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is due next week. They hopefully I've announced that, but maybe not. Hopefully, if it's not next week, it'll be the week after. They're working very hard, those casters. So the Ghouls Kickstarter will be shipping very, 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 very soon, which is exciting again to get that out. And that means it's early because I think March was the official ship date. So yeah, it'll be shipped in January. So there we go. That's the service you get at Bad Squiddo. Ghouls will be out. I've been working on a little Kickstarter. I could tease you about it actually. I'll just tell you. I can't remember. I can never remember what I've told people. I want to do a tiny Kickstarter for free models. I've got 3 really nice models, and they're with the casters now, and I'm getting them put into resin first. So the Kickstarter is just it's a bit of an experimental one. It's not going to be huge, and it's going to be for these 3 models in resin, and with a little display, so a little diorama sort of thing, in the same sort of vein. Because I'll see people, Kickstarter busts or larger figures, and it's just the one figure. And it's intriguing that they do really well. So I thought I'm going to try, even though they're 28 mil, it's 3 figures that make up a really nice little scene. And then if there's anyone I know that makes terrain, oh yeah, Fenris Games. So I'm going to work with Fenris. We were going to discuss it this week, but his car's bust, of course. But I'm doing this because it's going to be a circular diorama. So you'd be able to get as a one-off a specifically made little set of his scenics, and then when my figures fit in to make just this mini diorama that's sort of built around painting, but so that you can take the figures off, you know, like where they pop in. So if you want to, you can take the figures off to use them for gaming, but then you can store them back on a nice little diorama. So it's not just a diorama; they can still be used as gaming pieces. That's the thing. Um, but afterwards, then it will be in metal, but and a normal metal pack. But the only way you can get the super jazzy pack is through the Kickstarter. So I'm trying a little bit of exclusivity to see how that goes. And yeah, just as a tiny, just a little one that'll be done fairly quickly, hopefully. Um, so I'm intrigued. Yeah, like the Lord of the Rings Fellowship set, but just with free. Yeah, but just that little nice little thing that you paint up and go, oh, I liked that. And maybe you'll use a few tufts or a bit of those gamer's grass plants. Yeah, yeah. So to get that out, I'm gonna get someone to paint up, probably John, a nice little diorama there. I think that'll be really, really cute. So that's the next plan. Just because it's small, don't worry. World War II's still coming. Um, but just a nice little one. Just it's because I got him and I'm like, yeah, I want to do something just to give him a little bit more of a elevation. I'm gonna have to plug this in, but don't worry, I don't have to go anywhere. The plugs are all here. Just so I'm not concerned when I'm talking old world. What? Warhammer old world? Yeah, and the old plug. There we go. Still got a bit of a cold, and I've still got this headache, but maybe when I have the right prescription, it will help. Who knew? 6 months of headaches or whatever. You charging? There we are. So, what else before I get to that? Because that's the last major thing to discuss. I'll let you know, actually, yeah. I'll let you know what the thing was before I go into Old World. So, morning, Dave. Still typing. I know I promised you I'd read out his memoirs as well, so I need to do that. Also, I'm not sure if I've showed you this before. I think I did ages ago. I don't look at it as much as I should because that was the whole point of getting it. But like the coaster, I do mug reveals. The coaster is the Wars of the Roses lineage because it confuses me. I used to know it. Look, there's a ridiculous amount of Henrys in a row. There's like ducks in a row. If you got all your Henrys in a row there, look. Yeah, just got to point that out because it's down there. You don't get to see that. It's just too many Henrys. If you're not Henry, Richard, or Edward, get out of here. Pretty much. That's it. Why is there so many Henrys? Choose another name. So the thing that happened this year, that happened last year, and we thought, well, that was terrible. Yes, it was a bad thing. Yes, you were right. The sewers have exploded again. I'm just in acceptance mode. They haven't exploded yet, though. That's why I'm still somewhat jolly. What are you doing there, Dave? Although part of the extra mess last year was in Fenris making buckets of sewerage around the garden, so I'm just going to call the men this time. Though I fully appreciate all the help, but no, it wasn't that Ian had messed. It was we didn't know what was wrong, so that's why we were trying to investigate. But now I know that I know how to fix it. But yeah, it's from the floods. And I entirely blame Games Workshop for poor. Oh no, that's an allegation. I can't say that. It just so happens that Games Workshop in this part of town, with the sewers, and then there might be some chemicals around. When the chaps came out last time, they said that where my sewer is like lower, it all sort of dips into my house. So whenever is because there's been a flood and stuff and whatever, people are flushing pillows down the toilet or something. It all ends up in my garden. But because we haven't touched it yet, we haven't tampered it, it's just slowly seeping out rather than a full sewer explosion. I think I'm in acceptance mode of it. I've just accepted it now. So I do need to. It can't even be green stuff. There's no green stuff there anymore. All banned. They scan them down. They've got airport scanners at GW now. If you've got green stuff on you, they go boop 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 boop. Oh yeah, and then they throw it in the sewer. Allegedly, maybe not. They don't. So yeah, the sewers have exploded, but I'm hoping it's not going to be as awful as last time. But I'm not waiting in for them, so I'm going to contact. I assume that I can't get in touch with them weekend. I'll try later today, but I assume that I'll call them and then they'll lie to me for about a month saying that they're coming out that day. But I'm not going to wait for them. I'm going to go to work, and then if they call, I'll come to the house. Because my garden's really nice now. I've got not from the sewage. I've got really into gardening last year, and I thought, wow, it would have sucked if that sewer thing had happened if I had a really nice garden. And now I do. So yeah, I thought, oh, not again. Why? But it never happened before. It just out of the blue. And I've been here a while. I've been here 6 years now. We're coming up to 6 years. 6 years. It's wild. So yeah, that's my sewer life. Annie, my sewer life. Oh yeah, the washing machine broke as well. But the man fixed it, yay! And it wasn't a big drama, yay! So at least that was a bonus. So, old world as promised. Half an hour in, you had to listen to sewage, my getting glasses. At least I've not bored you with my New Year's resolutions yet. It's so far only got the grass, so that's the. But yeah, maybe I need to just scoop some of it onto the plants. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze at any moment as well. Sneeze or yawn. Or I could tell you about my dreams. Anything to delay getting to. I had a dream Ronnie Renton was disappointed in me the other night. And one of the last things he said before I woke up was something like, "You're just not the person I thought you were." I was like, oh no. Last night I had a really long, elaborate dream about Salute, and it's always outside. So it was raining. I didn't know where to put the racks by the marquee. It had already started. Half of my staff were actual vampires or were involved in vampire shenanigans. I was trying to run the stand, but they were off doing a vampire balls. It was mad. That's my brain. Well, this was pre-Halo. Pre-Halo. No, Ronnie just said, "You're not the person I thought you were." It was like, sorry, Dad. A Ronnie disappointment nightmares has got to be a genre. So old world. Old world thoughts I'd put there. So yesterday I didn't really do much, and it's probably good, but this is why I feel like my mood has sloped, because I try and relax, but then I have to relax by doing things. So when I kind of relax by not doing anything, I end up just sinking into misery. And I think I was kind of sat on Twitter for quite a while. This corner of, so it's a L-shaped sofa. It's not too messy actually. I could show you. It's got lights draped across it because it was just before the show. It was just before the show. There's nothing confidential there, no. So ignore the lights. This corner is my doom corner, but it's amazing. So that's the corner that if I'm found in, it means I've probably not moved for a while because it's so comfy in that little sink corner, sinkhole. So I got trapped in the sinkhole yesterday, and I was on Twitter a lot, and kind of just sat, and then on TikTok a lot as well. There was lots of long dogs on TikTok, and now I want a long dog like a greyhound because they look so sad. They've got a very dramatic face, haven't they? They're kind of like, oh. But then I had that like, I've wasted the day, and then I had to run around do loads of chores, and then went, why am I doing chores? It's a weekend. But anyway, it gave me a lot to think about with with Old World, because that's what pretty much all my Twitter feed was. And it's like a roller coaster of emotions, because the first thing, and it is, and again, this is me talking for everyone, talking for lots of small businesses. They just aren't as vocal about it as I. So it's not just a bad Squiddo thing. But it is, you know, you see January, again, if January hadn't been as bad, I think I would have been a bit worse at it. January has been good compared to its normal January. But yeah, you know, you see all your customers on Twitter, you know, that maybe it's been quiet, and then everyone's like, shut up and take my money, GW, for these old figures. And it's very easy to be like, what are you doing? This is our money. Give me my money. You said you haven't got any money and you're buying GW stuff and it's old stuff, but it's got a new hat. And that's a natural, like, visceral reaction. Something that I'm very, I think one of my skills, I mentioned before, is allowing the initial reaction, and then you go, why am I feeling that? Is that a dickhead move? Basically, this is, you know, your reaction, and then there's your actual thought out reaction. It's a bit like the thing, you know, the thoughts that pop in your head, and then you go, oh, that was a bit judgmental. You're like, no, that wasn't my actual thought. It was just so yeah, scrolling around, and it's just like, oh yeah, the big boys are taking over, ruining my sewerage. Like, oh, here we go, you know. So it's easy to do that. And yeah, I think I was sort of doing that for a little bit. Hey, we got Chicken's Tabletop Crafting. Hello, talking about cool people that I've been in contact with. Hey. So we're about to begin the old world. So yeah, so you know, you look at it and think, you get jealous, and I think that's perfectly normal, because you're like, oh, if I had a fraction of that, but then you try and think about it properly. Well, I do anyway. So I think I did some good tweets yesterday. I got some good feedback on that anyway. So Warhammer the Old World, that's my jam. That's how I got into the hobby. That's what got me into all this, and without it, there wouldn't be Bad Squiddo Games. And I think that sometimes we're like music artists. So there's maybe some music artists that are huge, and you don't like them at all. But you think, oh, that music's not for me. But you can appreciate that without them, you might not have got a following, sort of thing. So I have a bit of that relationship with GW, where I'm not a fan of the corporate sort of stuff, what they do, but they've had some really good things in the past, and there's people that work there that I really like, that do really brilliant things. And yeah, without them, me and loads of all these other little companies wouldn't exist. So to be entirely anti them, I think, is just a bit counterproductive. So I'm always, you know, interested in what they're up to, and it's silly to ignore them, because they're such a powerhouse, powerful force. So whatever they do does affect down to the little guys. And sometimes it's micro, sometimes it could be huge. It depends on your business. I've never wanted this to be, and it never has been, a business that sort of, not leeches, that's a bad word, but is directly impacted by Games Workshop, because I don't do, you know, we're not a proxy company. I don't do things like bases, so, you know, like the base size can't affect me. And there are companies that are a lot, you know, it's a scale, isn't it? But, you know, I was talking to Andy, housemate Andy, yesterday, about how I missed that golden age of micro companies, where people bought proxies, and Bad Squiddo wasn't really around then. It was about the time Bad Squiddo was set up, where Age of Sigmar took over, and that did do a lot of damage to small companies. And it's kind of not their fault, because if you're going to base your business off sort of what another company does, you can't be annoyed when they do something that, you know what I mean? So I've just realised I've got to condense thoughts because we're 38 minutes in, so I'm trying to get it all out. But so yeah, I wasn't around as a company in those proxy Warhammer days, but I was around as a Warhammer player. I want to get my trophies out, but I have to carry the tablet around. I got trophies abound. So I think most regulars know, but not everyone, is I used to be a regular on the Warhammer 8th edition and a bit of 7th edition um, Warhammer tournament scene in the UK, the indie scene. Yeah, I've never done an official Games Workshop event just because I never have. Oh yeah, I know why. Because my army was always full of proxies. Woo! So I used to do a lot of tournaments, and I kind of had that as that was a huge part of my life was Warhammer, and the Warhammer tournament scene and all the stuff around that. I was really into it, and that was my main, my main sort of game. It was only a bit later on that I found historical gaming and different, different themes, genres, scales, all that sort of stuff. Um, and I got into the Vampire Counts when I was about 10, and that's my full nostalgia. So it's been a long time, and I've got a lot of really nice memories connected to the old world. So that being relaunched, I'm like, so like the gamer in me is like, yes, finally, get out of town, Age of Sigma. I tried to like you, but I'm all about that classic. So like the classic undead I've always been. And I was like, oh yeah, I could get my ghouls, and I could use all my ghouls and proxy the ghouls and stuff. And then they went, we're not really gonna do vampire counts, so like, get out of town. No, these are proper. So I've had like my gamer reaction and my company reaction, and it's been interesting that it's sort of like those reactions merge into a takeaway sort of thing. So we're getting to the takeaway. Fear not. Just gonna have the last bit of this little cold bit of coffee, and then. So I get it, and the old Mega War, because I did used to be a Mega Warhammer fan. That part of me just gets, it lights up the brain, and I'm like, oh my god, it's come back, let's do it, let's buy all the things, let's do it. And then there's the Annie, you don't play that one game system that you do play now. It's a struggle to get you to play it. The Walking Dead, best game ever. Sorry, Ronnie. See, the game's the best game ever. Why is he disappointed in me? It's like that thing where your partner has a dream where you mean, and then it goes into the life. I now think that there's some bit like deep inside. I think Ronnie's disappointed in me, so I'm gonna have to talk to him when I see him. Go, you're not, are you? Um. So where are we? So yeah, so I've been on Twitter, seen everyone's excitement. And that's really cool because it's always good when people get excited about a hobby thing. And I much prefer the older style of figures, which is obviously why we do Bad Squiddo figures like that. As much as I think the later Age of Sigmar models are some of the most fantastic out there as gaming. I think they are more painting diorama pieces than gaming pieces. So to see this, like, especially with the younger people as well, the younger folk, discovering things like the Perrys and Perry miniatures. Um, Again, my visceral brain was like, well, duh. And like, no, of course not. Don't be an idiot. Like, yeah, of course. Don't be. And I can see this inherent weird gatekeeperiness, and then the big difference is whether you go with it or go, no, that's silly. So seeing people get excited about, some of like the older Perry miniatures, so like the Michael Anderson stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, Michael. Oh no, he hasn't sculpted for me. I was listening Warhammer sculptors yesterday that had sculpted for Bad Squiddo. I'm sure there's someone I forgot. I'm like, no, never got round to Michael Anderson because North Star stole him. But I'm rambling. I'm aware of this. Where are we? Brain. The old world. So yeah, people are now for the first time discovering things that, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it's like being old, when the young'uns find your bands or something. So people are finding these figures that they've not seen before, and they're getting excited about them. And I think actually this is really good all around, because a lot of those figures are hand sculpted. A lot of them are by sculptors that now work for us smaller companies. So a bit of nostalgia, I think, is actually going to be good, because it's very easy to just assume that everything the big boys do will be rubbish for the little girls like me, because you're like, oh yeah, everyone's just they're going to flock to that. It is the Malibu Stacy with the new hat, and you're there going, but I worked really hard on this. But if it ignites people, you got the troll hole. If it ignites people being interested in that sort of thing, then it may. Oh god, yeah, this is no one's gonna want to build the black coach again though. First model I ever got brand new, that black coach. It still haunts me. I love it, but the amount of times that metal just kept folding in. Yeah, Jamie says they've changed what it is, and now what it is actually comforting and familiar. Yes, good old nostalgia over the hatred for the coach. But yeah, did you know that Paul Muller sculpted most of that coach? I can't remember who sculpted the actual physical coach, but Paul Muller sculpted the like the little guy on it, the little Wraith, and the detailing on it. So you get like, remember those sort of like gargoyle-y, Dave, the little gargoyle heads and all those sort of details. He sculpted all those on it. Paul Muller, who sculpted all our ghouls, most of our ghouls, apart from four ghouls. So that's the link. So now I'm thinking, actually, I'm going to try and use this as a positive. And I don't know if it'll work. Maybe it'll be like when modern artists, when they sample something from the 70s and they'll be like the dad going, well, if you like this, why don't you check out more of this artist's work? And what we've got here. Best hope for the old world is that peeps like you and Andy, Tim, Trish sell a bunch of models as GW can't keep up with demand. Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like maybe their loss might be a little bit of my gain, because they did sell out of like everything really quick, didn't they? And everyone got a bit annoyed by it, which I would be, because I don't understand how they can sell out of a thing that they manufacture themselves. But there's obviously more to it than that, isn't there? It was in my ramblings. Just some anti-capitalist opinions. It's Dave. It's Dave harassing Carol. That's what's going on over there. So if it brings up this sort of interest in the old stuff, and I am going to have to fight the urge to get to spend money on getting into it, because I don't have the money all the time. Although maybe I could use some ghouls and just accept that they'll never ever support vampire accounts, but I can play them anyway. So it's going to sort of change a bit of my strategy, because again, we're not a proxy company, and it's very clear when there are proxy companies, because it's like, oh, you've done all that for Warhammer, yes, or for Necromunda or anything. But being back in a classical fantasy land, the thing that got me the most excited is when I were a lad, when I were a lad in the scene, things like you could be more creative. And I was talking about this on a podcast recently, how I miss that, because it's kind of never really been there with 40k and Age of Sigmar, with the models being so specific. It didn't really happen either. But back in my day, it was always about making these really unique unit fillers. And because you had that unit, you could put things in that maybe were a bit bigger than the base. So I'd have like a big ghoul model that would be amongst the other ghouls. When I first sort of got back into it as an adult, and I used to always try and find other companies, which is how I initially found Heresy, Hassle Free. I think they were the first ones that I saw that weren't GW. And I was like, what? I can use these other figures that other people don't have. So I think when they inevitably do get bored of like, oh, these, they're not as visually exciting as Age of Sigmar, let's see if we can, like, themed armies. So Titan Forge, I love, because they used to do Forum of Doom. And then that's how I found Fenris, because I was like, what's this other company? And I went, oh yeah, these do some cool things. So I did initially find Fenris through Forum of Doom. So you want to make something different, because everyone sees the same thing. So, and that's what I miss, just not from a business wise, just creativity, seeing these themed armies. So Titan Forge made an ogre army that was all like crocodiles and pirates and stuff. And when I first saw that, I was like, that's so cool. And that was how I first spoke to Titan Forge, because I said, this, I didn't realize was an army you could buy. I thought this was somebody's conversion project. And then we've got Warp now making the gnome army, which did get me very excited. And I was talking to someone that said they could print it off for me. I'm like, no, if I do, I'll have to go for the undead, not the gnomes. But I love the gnomes. And yeah, you'd get these themes. I remember Mick, who now works for Moonstone, I knew from the old Warhammer, from 7th Ed days. He used to have an ogre army that he'd convert. Ogres were really good to convert because it's obviously they're bigger. And he had like hot air balloons and stuff. And there's just and that's what I love. And I do feel that Age of Sigmar took a lot of that away, the personalization, because they got so heavy on the IP. Whereas with just sort of classic fantasy, there's so much you can do. And I'm really excited for people to get back into doing a bit of that, and also the people that haven't really before. So maybe they found the hobby through Age of Sigmar, and that's all they know. And now it's like a bit of an introduction to again the old ways. But that like yeah, you can do some things yourself, do some conversions, make things different. And it's I think it's good that they've brought back the old plastics because they you can swap arms, you can kit bash, whereas the newer stuff, it only fits together in that specific way that they might as well be single piece. And they'd probably be better because then you could slice them up better. So if people are getting into that, that's good for the hobby in general, I think, because it's just so fun. And I miss that. And I miss when I'd go to events and someone would have just this army and you're like, what is, and you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I see they've made these really good. And obviously, because I had an army of Chaos Gnomes, I've always been a good proxy fan, and even my undead, I had that mixture of the Gripping Beast herdmen with skulls on them. I used to like finding cool, and yeah, I did find cool, sexy vampire ladies. So who did I use? Avatars of War, Reaper, Hassle Free. See you, Katie. Thank you for my Christmas present. I had all the spirit hosts I had originally were all hassle-free ladies coming out of the like woo. And then eventually I made. I'm sad I think I sold them, but my spirit host eventually, because again it's like you've got a 40 by 40 base of ghosts. So I was like, well, you can use anything, and that can help theme the army. And I just wanted people to look at it and be like, wow, that's cool. Rather than even if you've got a really nicely painted standard army, it's still the standard army. You're like, oh yeah, that's good. But if there's different models, you stand out. Even when I first found tufts that were different, so we'd have the yellow and white army paint the tufts, and then I went to colours, and I found who was it then? Mini nature tufts. I went, they come in all different colours. Oh, I'm gonna be so much like it's being different rather than and I'm getting into it now. I want to be different. As I want to stand out. Oh, I can have blue flowers now. No one else has got blue flowers, and all this sort of thing. So to try and find all that like different bits. So if I had that route, I'm hoping that say these younger, not necessarily younger, newer to the hobby people, will start finding all that and going on that same sort of adventure where you go down the rabbit hole of like, oh, but if I use this, and sometimes I'd see a model and that would inspire me to go, oh, I might put a whole army based around that figure because you can convert that. And then you go, but what would I use? And then you see some other model, and you're like, oh yes. So I think that's just great for creativity, and hopefully will be great for Bad Squiddo as well as other small companies when they do start finding all these other models that are out there, and when some of those GW models that they're buying have been hand sculpted. Because sometimes I do look at my own stuff and I think maybe I should go to digital because it's just so smooth, it's so like perfect. But it's not what I like personally. I like the hand sculpted, I like the character in it. Um, but and sometimes people, I think, like people that only know Warhammer will look at hand sculpted and think like, "Oh, this is awful." Like, no, it's good character. That's the point. It's the well, yeah, the character in the figures rather than them just being. Sometimes I find some of the digital things can be really sterile. Not always, obviously. And I always say my favourite example of a digital sculptor is Alex Huntley from Warp Miniatures. Not just because he's one of my friends, but I think um, he's a really good example of somebody who learned how to sculpt traditionally and has carried that skill over. And I can't tell which of his models have been sculpted digitally or by hand. Most of it's digital now from him, but he does occasionally do a hand one. But he keeps that style, and I always think that's how to do it. Um, So yeah, the GW did seem to start really leading people to this, like, you have to do it, like Carol says, exactly how it is. It's all in the box. You don't look outside the box. This is your mini, this is your base. And if Old World takes off, or even if it's just a fad for a bit, people start finding out that you can do other bits and be more creative. I think that's always going to be a bonus rather than a sort of, the paint by numbers that I feel some of it's got to. Um, and yeah, I recently joined because one of you lot, I can't remember the name because I'm rubbish, but one of you lot in Baggy's Cave posted a link to medieval, I think it was medieval dioramas. Alex Webb, maybe? Medieval Dioramas group on Facebook. So I joined that. And he was I think he's the mod, or just posts a lot. But he was making like fences with string. So like little fence posts and, weaving the string and then making it look a bit sort of grottier and making things like that. And that's what I really love about the hobby. And I feel like that's been taken away lately with the larger, not with the, historical and all that. I've always been doing it. But if the gateway to the hobby now largely is through Games Workshop, that's enough. The further away it is from kind of what we do, is the harder it is for them to get it. So if there's a bit of that, I'm rambling now. But yeah, Pandemonium says my return to Wargame was Frostgrave, and the main attraction being able to use whatever manish you like, which led me to finding you, Ian, Andy, etc. Yeah, that's really cool. So I think on the whole, after having a bit of like a doom scroll yesterday, on the whole, that could be really positive. And I'm going to change some of my marketing. That's what I was saying earlier. That although we're not a proxy company, we make a lot of fantasy models, and back in the day, they would have been awesome for that sort of thing. So, as in like, I do lament that I was not there in the glory days. I was talking to Andy last night about how like avatars of war used to be huge. You get those slayers and stuff like that, and well, avatars. So all of the characters they did, and that the vampire, they had one, and she was kind of like licking it off her hand, and that was very much, well, again, I can't say for sure, but very built around GW proxies. And I'm sure a lot of those companies did so well, and when Age of Sigmar came, it did just sort of tank for them. But that point where it did really well, I was like, because there's been things like my ghouls, and I've said, it's a shame that it's not in the days where people did proxies, because these would have gone down really well, because there's so many people that, looking for different figures. But now maybe it will be, even though they've killed vampire counts. but yeah, if people can go, what can we have that's different, and not just my figures, I've got all of the scenery. So if people are back into unit fillers, there's some perfect. When I was at TSN, one of the guys was painting up the anvil for dwarves. I was like, yes, my blacksmith's forge. People have a reason to buy it because it's a really cool set. But I get going, but what would I buy it for? So I'm going to kind of look into my range with fresh eyes now and go, what could I show people as? So the main one that's immediately came to mind is everyone's doing Bretonians because it's a start set. It's like, well, we've got what is it? Brain, Jean de Clisson, and then that's a little link in, which I've always found with Perry's was, because that's how I found Perry and the Perrys and Grip and Beast, because I was looking at proxies. So at the time, and seeing people find the price difference as well was good. So I've seen a few online like, oh my god, but the guys who sculpted the Empire stuff, you can buy their stuff now and it's really cheap and it's in plastic and it's ace. I'm like, yes. So that sort of crossover. So I have actually got excited about it. I don't know yet if I'm going to get involved personally. I want to. I do want to. And I do need an excuse to paint, because I haven't painted my own ghouls yet. So I've got a ghoul collection, and I would go on about my ghoul collection, but they've been in a box for so long that I want to get them finished, even if I just make them and tag them as that or something. So if you do see some of my marketing mentioning Warhammer more, I haven't sold out. It's just playing to the algorithm again. Sort of warp. Someone saying don't use Warhammer, like it's what the algorithm demands. Before I forget, because I saw it after I'd written my notes. I've signed up to something. There's a guy on Twitter, on Instagram, and oh, yay! See you, chickens. Bye. Thanks for watching my ramble. Oh, see, look, I turn on Instagram and straight away it's like it's everywhere. Like they're good at marketing and doing that influencer thing, where all the influencers get stuff. Um, Even if they haven't got tons and tons of followers, it's still like it's just swamping it. So yesterday it's just all, and today and for a while it's just all swamp. Although that is official Warhammer that's popped up there. But there's a guy I keep forgetting. Whoop. All plot on my plot. Yes. Take over. Don't get distracted by Instagram, Annie. What were you looking for? Had it up. I had it, I swear. I swear. I'll go after this. What's he called? You'll go, oh, that guy. Sorry, I've just got to click. She's got a new hat. And yeah, I like the links like Jean de Clisson on the Scots by Kev White, who's currently working as it's not Forge World anymore, is it specialist team? Why can't I find the name of this guy? What's your name? What's your name? I'll get there. Don't worry. And it's vignette 28 is the hashtag. So if I'll just put the hashtag in. And this is on a non high-tech goer. That's it. Where is he? High-tech goer. So this is on a non-business thing. I haven't actually talked to him. I need to slide in those DMs because I've been a big fan. I think I've shared his stuff before. So his whole thing, he was part of that exhibition that we were at in Scunthorpe, and part of his thing is taking photographs of minis in nice settings, and he inspired me to sort of take mine up a level because his is so nice, and they're just it's just making sort of atmospheric photos, and he's obviously a very good photographer. And that's what I want to do more of. Let me just show you a couple more of them. So I just really like the scenes that he makes from them. Oh wow, yeah. There's one I saw earlier and I thought, oh, that's perfect. So little photos that tell a story a bit like this. And I really like what he does with the lighting on them. And that's what I want to do more of, hence buying the camera and some more of the gear. But I need to message him and be like, I'm such a big fan. So yeah, just stuff like that. I just think they're really cool. And so I got into it. I liked doing it before, and then I got into it more with once we got those backdrops, knowing that added another element to it, and now it is just a genuine hobby as well. So I want to talk to him. But yeah, the point of mentioning him, so high tech goer, I've just realized he has a YouTube as well, so I'm going to go check that out after this. So high tech goer is doing a New Year's, a 2024 competition. So I signed up to his newsletter. It said sign up here for more information. I was like, I am in. So it's now scroll down. I'm in the Never Zone. Go back up. There we are. So the Miniature Photography Awards 2024. I'm in. Game on. Game on. Gonna enter. Yeah, very film noir. So yeah, a miniature photography competition for all creatives enjoying visual storytelling with great jury and prizes. So it's through 28 creatives, and I don't know much about any of this. I feel like there's whole bits of the hobby that I'm just entirely like little, not little, but you know what I mean, communities that I'm not very aware of, because I know he does a lot with mangling minis and Baharoff, and they were all part of that exhibition as well, but I didn't talk to them because I was too shy. Yay! I messaged, I think it was Baroff, I messaged afterwards and said, I'm not horrible. I wasn't, because I worry sometimes I come across like I'm up my own arse because I like, don't talk to people, and it's not. It's because I'm shy. If I haven't got the in to talk, I will just sort of be like, I'll do the thing where like I'll just go on my phone. I'm scared of people, and they must think, oh, she's a bit. So yeah, so I thought that's cool. So if anyone else wants to get in on it, I'm nothing to do with it in any sort of business sense. Chickens, who was here, but I think it's headed off now. Doing a little project with chickens there, and I realised I've not watched any of their actual YouTube, so I need to go do that. So I think I'm gonna get a bit hobby inspired for the rest of the afternoon. I'm gonna look at that. Um, I need to not sit about, so I sit about for a little bit. Andy's gonna run down the stairs the second that this video is over, so that he can get the new router together and see what 1 gig internet is like. That's what your money pays for. That's what you're paying for my internet bill. But we justify it because we need it. He streams. He's streaming, in fact, tonight, I believe, at 8 p.m. Actually, yeah, I'll be in the chat for that. It's the Andy and Rem show is back on. Also, well, it's not on regularly because Rem's being a rock star and off in a band. But Rem will be there and they will be talking old world. So I'm going to hang out in the comments. So Andy 2D6, if you put that into YouTube, 8 o'clock, I'll put a little thing in Baggy's Cave as well, because Andy's part of the gang, whether he likes it or not. So I'll be there. He was trying to rope me into being part of a stream about it, which I'm still pondering. I might be the replacement Rem for a bit. Right, thank you. It's been a long one, but I think it's been worth it. I kind of want to do a little ramble, like a separate video ramble about my old Hammer thoughts, actually. So yeah, part of me is like, do I return to the scene, smash them out of the tournament zone, or do I leave that in the past? I don't know, because I do obviously have a lot of other things taking my time, and I do want to really get into The Walking Dead more, because I love that game and they're bringing out new stuff for that. So I'm like, shall I just focus on Walking Dead? We'll see. But I'm excited for if if it brings more people to see what else is out there in the world of hobby, especially when GW can't actually like give them the stuff they want, and they might. I'll be like the clown in it going, "We've got hand sculpted minis down here." Is actually sunny outside. Yes, I actually planted more bulbs yesterday, and more bulbs may have arrived that I forgot that I'd ordered as well in a moment of madness, because it's like the last chance to plant them. Um, and I saw this lady online that just goes, "Just throw them." So I'm like, "Just throw them." You've missed loads, Ralph. I'm going home, but I am home. So you'll have to click it and watch it from the start. Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's been a good show. Hopefully my rambles have been useless. Hopefully they've not been useless. And I will catch you in the week. And you will see me hashtagging Warhammer around probably. All right, bye.